Okay, Belilni Luna Nishmas, Chava Bas Mordechai Aryeh, Benji's mother-in-law, and also Little Nishmas, Rachel Chana Bas David Yuda Koyen. That's Teddy Katz's youngest daughter, who is Nifta. I think it's a first year at site this year. Yeah. Okay. Tonight we went through, we digressed from Kisvei Kodesh, you can't divide, to what the Kisvei Kodesh are, who wrote the Kisvei Kodesh, and Moshe wrote Eov. And we had a whole question who Eov was, if he was, when he was. But bottom line is we have a book that Moshe wrote called Sefer Eov. And tonight we're going to discuss a lot of it. So I thought it appropriate, I sent out today to go through at least the first parak very quickly, and the second parak, the beginning of it, to get an idea, because we're going to introduce and then we're going to go into more in detail. It's on your thing. I'm doing it. Oh, we're opening up with that, guys. So open up. It's on your phone. You don't like that. There was a person in Eretz Utz. His name was Eov. He was Hashem. He had children. Oh, he was Ish Tam V'Yasha. He had seven sons and 3 daughters. He had 7,000 pieces of cattle, of livestock, 3,000 camels, 500 cattle, she donkeys, so he was a very, very wealthy guy. He was a very, very wealthy guy. The whole chubban of us who mishtet, they would make parties, right? The sholchu b'karul l'shlosh achaysehem, they invite their relatives. Lechav lishas imohem, vayi kifu yemei mishte, vayishlach iyov v'yikadshim v'shkim b'boike v'hela oilos mispa kulam. He would go ahead and give karbonis according to the party, whatever they served. Yomar Iyov, Ulai Iyov said, Ulai chatu banai uberchim b'vavam kacha yasa Iyov kol hayamim. That's what he did. Vayi hayoyim vayivo b'nei Elohim. These are the malachim. This Yatsev. It was according to the Mefarshim, was Rosh Hashanah. They came together. This Yatsev al Hashem. The Satan showed up. We're going to see tonight the Satan is the Yetzirah, it's the Malach HaMaves. Vayom Hashem al Satan, me'ayin tavoi, where you coming from? Vayan Satan es Hashem, vayoymar, mishut ba'aretz, u'mishalaych ba. I just came all over the world. Vayom Lashon shut is like literally swimming. Just Vayom Hashem al Satan, hasamta libcha al avdei Eov. Did you check out my Hashem is talking, my Eved Eov, ki ein kamo ba'aretz, there's no one like him. Ish tam v'yasha yira lekim v'sameira. No one like him. Vayana satan es Hashem vayoyma hachinam yari Eov elikim. He serves Hashem v'chinam. Haloy atot sachta ba'adoi ba'ad beisoi u'ba'ad kol shaloi misaviv. You gave him such wealth. Ma'aseh yadav v'irachtoi u'meknei parts baretz. Everything was good, so of course he's going to serve you. V'ulam shalach no yadcha. Go ahead and take a shot at him. V'gam b'chol shaloi. We'll see if Yivrecha is a euphemism, guys, will curse you. Vayom Hashem al Satan, hine, kol shaloi biyadcha, all his possessions are in your hands. Rak elov al tishlach yadcha, you can't touch him. Vayetzi Satan mi'impenei Hashem, he leaves HaKadosh Baruch Hu. Vayhi ayoim, ubanav b'noisaf oichlim v'shoisim yayim b'beis achiyim b'char, they're having their monthly party. Umalach boi el Yov, a messenger comes to Eov, vayoymar, your cattle, your 500 cattle were plowing. Shva came along the kingdom Shva, and they took all your cattle and all your she donkeys. And the people, the Norim who were watching them, they killed. And I alone saved, I escaped to tell you. While he was still speaking, another one came. Eish Elikim nafla min hashamayim. A fire came down from Shemayim. Vativar batsoin, and it go ahead and ate up all your small livestock. Ubana orim batoichlem. V'molterakani levadi lahagadach. So right now he has no possessions. All this livestock, all this cattle, all his camels, all his she donkeys, they're all gone. This person is still speaking. Kazdim came along the Kazdim, some Shleisha Rashim, they were 3 heads, Pashtu ala Gamalim, they took your camels, Vayikachim Besnarim Hikul Vichara Vimolta Rak Ani Levadi Lahakalacha. So now he has nothing. Aidza Medaber, Bezeba Vayomer, Banecha Ubanasecha Oichlim B'Shoisim Yayin. Your children were eating, they were partying. B'Veis Acheim Abachar. B'nei Ruach Gedoyla Ba Me'eva HaMidbar, a strong wind came. Vayiga Ba'arba Pinas Abayis, it hit all 4 corners of the house. Vayipul Al Na'orim, it fell down upon them. Vayamusu. V'Molta Rak Ani Levadi Lahakalacha. So now Eiv's lost his children. Vayakam Eiv, Vayikres Me'iloi, hearing this, he ripped his clothing. Vayogas Esroisha, he shaved his head. Vayipol Artsa, Vayishtachu, he bowed down to the ground. Vayoymar, very famous pasuk. Vayoymar, Aram Yatsasni Betanimi, I came out of my mother's womb naked. The Aram Moshev Shama, right? Hashem Nasan, Hashem Lakach. Hashem gives and Hashem takes. He Shem Hashem Mevayrach. What a pasuk. What a pasuk. What a pasuk. Orim Yatsasni Betanimi, the Orim Moshev Shama, Hashem Nasan, Hashem Lakach, He Shem Hashem Mevayrach. The Chol Zayis Leichata Eiv, with all this, he wasn't Chayta. Like Nasan Tifla came, he did not go ahead and Chas v'Shalom say anything negative about Hashem. By Ayom Vayovu Bnei Elohim Yisatzev, again, another Rosh Hashanah is coming. Everyone's coming together. The same thing repeats itself. Vayom Hashem LaSatan Asamtu Libchal Avdi Eiv Kien Kamoya Ba'aretz Ishtam V'Yasha Yer Elokim V'Samira. And now we add on Vayidenu Machzik B'Tumasai. After what? After Vatisiseni Boy Levaluchin. You, Hashem accuses the Satan. You incited me to go ahead writing and swallow him up. The Gemara is going to ask without the Moshe writing this, how can you say that Hashem is incited? Vayana Satan as Hashem Vayomer Oid or. We'll see what this means in Gemara. V'chol shali yishitim bad nafshay ulam shalach no yodcha v'gamal atzmai vel b'sarai im lo al penech yirecha. I only touched him externally, his possessions, his family. What happens if I hit him directly? Vayomer Hashem al Satan hina biyadcha achas nafshay shemar. Okay, you got him. Do whatever you want. One thing. Just don't kill him. Okay, and now we begin the Yisurim of Eiv. So that's basically an introduction to what we're going to be discussing this evening. It sets a tone for this special, unique person called Eiv, a sefer that was very, very difficult. When you get to a Gemara and you have hard psukim you can't translate, inevitably 9 out of 10 times it's either Eiv or Yeshaya, but usually it's Eiv. I did not see. But I heard that the Ibn Ezra, in his Hakdama to Sefer Eiv, he said that Moshe didn't write it. Moshe was metargim it, and that's why it was so hard, because it was written in another language. It was written in another language. So usually things that are meturgim is very, very difficult. There's another pshat that I think it was the Rashbatz. He said that it wasn't pshat that Moshe was metargim. It was there's so many people, so many different lands. So the words in Lashon Kodesh are very difficult words because it was a difficult language they were speaking. So either way, it's difficult. So a lot of the psukim this evening, I'll do the best I can. I art scrolled most of the psukim, but we'll get the idea and the gist of the context more so, if not the exact translation. So we're beginning on Tesvav Amid Beis, and it's the one line before it gets wide. Now, Baruch Hashem, we just saw this pasuk. So he told them, I'm coming from all over the land. I'm coming from all over the land. Avraham. Right. So I said the Rabbi, when the lines get wide, we just began share on Tesvav Amid Beis. So he said, I went throughout the land. I didn't find anybody like Avram Avinu. What does it say about Avram Avinu? Get up, Hisalich Bar, it's the Arko L'Rachba, it's length and width. Kilchat Nenog, I'm giving it to you. He didn't find a place to bury Sarah. At Shekana B'Dalamei Shekel Kesef from Ephraim. Lehiru Achabi Midascha. He didn't go ahead and question Hashem. Now, this is very fascinating. You hear that? Yeah, the Satan is telling Hakadosh Baruch Hu, I went throughout the land and I didn't find anybody like Avram Avinu. By Avram Avinu, what does it says? Now he's giving the whole land, and now he has to bury Sarah, and he has to pay a fortune of money for the Maras Machpelah, and he didn't question Hashem. The Rabbeinu Yoina counts this as the 10th and final Nisayan of Avram. Everyone says the Akedah. He says this is the biggest Nisayan. This pasuk is the biggest Nisayan. The Rabbeinu Yoina in Avos, when he gives his list of Asar Nisas Avram, he says this, the fact that he couldn't find a place to bury after you promised him the world and everything, this was the biggest Nisayan. This is amazing. Anyway, so this is what the Malach, the Satan tells the Kodesh Baruch Hu.
Satan's been around a while. Okay.
He's been around. He's been from the beginning of time. He was created day number 2.
Not this Friday.
He was created day number 2. No, I mean carry Satan.
You have a customer, no?
Right. Yes, so of course, the Yetzirah or Malcham Avis. Both. We're going to see in today's word the Yetzirah Malcham Avis. So it's not Sutton. It's Satan. Okay, now, by Yom Hashem el Satan. Okay, you think Avram is what? You know, Hasamta libcha el avdi Iyov ki ein kamo baretz, right? Ish tam v'yasha yir elikim b'sam b'sumei. I'm Rabbi Yochanan. Gadol nema b'Iyov Yosem Esh nema b'Avram. It's greater what's said by Yiv than it's said by Avram. Dilu b'Avram ksiv kiyati yadati kir elikim ata. Now I know Yiras Hashem. U'b'Iyov ksiv ish tam v'yasha yir elikim b'sumei ra. My Mr. Ra, I'm Rabbi Mashmuel. Iyov v'achim in minahu. He was a tremendous vat in his money. Min hagash shaloylam noisen chatzi putul lechenvani. Now, guys, let's say you owed someone a chatzi pruta. You couldn't. The smallest denomination is a pruta. You owed someone a chatzi pruta, so you'd go to the chenvani and spend the pruta, and you give half to him, and you keep half for yourself. Iyov was mevat on the other half. In other words, he owed you half. He went to the chenvani, he gave you the whole thing. He gave you the whole thing. Vayana Satan es Hashem. Vayoyma hachinam yirei Iyov elikim. Halei Ata Sachta, you shielded Ba'adoi Ba'ad Beisai, right? And Misaviv Maisa Yada, Beirachto, Mekneu, Paretz Baretz. Again, he was so wealthy. So what's the big spitz that he was served you? My Maisa Yada, Beirachto, Amashmul Yitzhak, Kol Anoitel, Pruta Me'iyov, Misparech. Even if you took a pruta, he was the Mitchell Babich Rebbe. You took a pruta from Iyov, and it was you were gebenched. It was gebenched. So therefore, Umiknea Paretz Baretz is cattle Paretz Baretz. I'm Rabbi Yosef Rechanina. Miknea Shali of Paretzu Gedra Shaloilam. The mikna of Iyov, they mamish knock down the Gedra of the worlds. Why? Naga Shaloilam Seivim Hargim Heizim. It's the wolves that kill the goats. Miknea Shali Izim Hargim Seivim. The goats kill the wolves. Okay. Ulam Shalachna Yodcha Viga Bichol Ashaloi, and afflict all that's to him. In other words, says the Son HaKadosh Baruch Hu, you go ahead and do this, and he'll give you a zag. You can't touch him. As a result, what do you mean they were as a result, guys, listen to this. As a result of the baka plowing, the asinus they ate right away. It seems that Iyov was the Teva. They would go ahead and they would be chayrish the land. The stuff would grow, and immediately they would be able to go eat. Rashi says, "K'dechsiv haravi aladet yachdav heroyin related to be a mechad." In Lasalavai, right, that the movement will get pregnant one day and give birth the same day. So who did over here, guys? You did Charisha and the Sriya in the same day, so they were Charishais and they ate, and they ate, and the Asonis ate right away. So the Iyov was get a shmeka by Lamaba. Oizem medaber again is very geschmack. You saw this; it flows now, right? Oizem medaber v'zebov vayoymar, right? Ishal akim. Oizem medaber v'zebov vayoymar kazdim shomei shleish roshim v'ifshu al gamalim mikachim. Oizem medaber v'zebov vayom v'nechem v'nesecha oichem v'sheisim v'yayim v'esachayim. Habachar b'nei ruach gedoyla ba meiva midba v'yiga ba'arba pinas abayis v'yipol al na'orim, and what vayokim Iyov v'yikral me'iloi v'yogas as he pulled out his hair Reishai, and he said the famous words vayomer orim yetzasim yibetanimi v'yorim ashuv Shema Hashem Shema Hashem Nasan Hashem Lakach Yishem Hashem Avrach Michol Zois Lechot Eiv L'Nasan Tifla L'Elakim. Okay, that was the psukim that we read. Again, this is the second time, right? Guys, this is Perik Beis. This is the second time. Vayom Hashem al Satan, Amy said Tava, Vayam Satan, Vayam Hashem Hashem, Vayomer, Mishut Ba'aretz, Amal Afon Rabban Shalom, Shatasi B'chal Oilam, V'Matzasi Kavdach Avram, Shamal Like Kum Esalech Ba'aretz, Lach Rachva, Kilcha Nena, V'Shash Bigis L'Kvar Sarah, Le'Matzah Makam L'Kvara, V'Lahoy Rachar Midasechi, he didn't question me. Vayom Hashem al Satan, Hasamta Libcha al Avdi Eiv, Ki Ein Kamoy Ba'aretz, Vaydenu Machzik B'Tumasai, he's still Machzik in me. And and you incited me. Hashem tells the son, you incited me to go ahead to literally swallow him up for nothing. I'm Rabbi Yochanan. The Mali Mikra Kosev Yashleimai. The pasuk, how can you possibly say this? Kadosh and Sisin Oisai Venises. Like HaKadosh Baruch Hu is a person, the Chas v'Shalom, that what you can incite, and he's incited. The Mastitan Tana in a Brisa we learned Yoyreid Umisa'eh. Yoyreid, and he traps him to sin. V'oilum Umargiz, and he tells HaKadosh Baruch Hu to punish him. Noitel b'shus v'noitel neshama. Bayan asatim v'esashem v'yoma. Okay, or ba'ad or v'cholasher leish yitain ba'ad nafshay. Literally, man will give up his avarim to protect his life. So too, Eiv gave up his money to protect himself. In other words, so big deal. He didn't protect him physically. You didn't go ahead and attack him. Ulam says the satan shalach v'yotcha v'gar alatzmai. Let me afflict himself. Al b'sari, his own meat, his flesh. Let's see then if it will go ahead and bench you. Bench you is a euphemism, right? Be careful that you can't go ahead and you can afflict him, but you can't go ahead and kill him. And he hit Eiv. It says it hit Eiv b'shrin ra mikaf raglei ad kakadai. He had boils from the top of his head to the bottom of his feet. That tsar of the Satan that he wasn't able to kill Eiv was even more tsar than Eiv was experiencing. Mashal evet shamlei Rabbi shavachavius, break a barrel of wine, v'shamres yeno, and be careful you don't spill the wine. Guys, you hear what he's saying? Go ahead, break the barrel, but don't spill the wine. So break the guy's body, but don't take his neshama. That was harder for what the Malach HaMavis than what Eiv went through. That was harder. Amrish Lakish, who Satan, who Yetzirah, who Malach HaMavis. He's the same person. When you say the Satan means the Yetzirah, it means the Malach HaMavis. Who Satan, the Chsiv, Yetzirah, Satan, Yetzirah, Pnei Hashem, who Yetzirah, Chsiv, Hasam, Rak Kol HaYoim, Chsiv, Hacha, Rak Elav, Al Tishlach Yadcha, who Malach HaMavis, the Chsiv, so Achas, Nafshay Shomer, Alma, but the day Kaimi, that he has the ability to take it, if not to Hashem telling him what not to. Amrav Levi. So we know we're familiar with the laning on Rosh Hashanah, the first parak in Sefer Shmuel. We have a person Elkanah, and he has what? He has two wives, Penina and Chana. Penina has children, Chana does not have children, and it says by Penina that she would anger her that she has children she doesn't. So on the surface, she seems to be like a not nice Sarah, but in fact, what? We know that she was Mechavim L'Shem Shemayim, that she should daven and have children. So both the Satan and Penina were Mechavim L'Shem Shemayim. Satan, keeping the Chazil HaKadosh Baruch Hu, did not Yedaitei Basa Eiv. He, since saw HaKadosh Baruch Hu favored Eiv, Amar Chas V'Shalom, Minshali L'Rachmanusi, the Avraham, the Satan went to prove that Hashem doesn't forget the mercy of Abraham. In other words, he saw he favored Eiv. The whole reason he did it was to show that Hashem favored Eiv. That's why he did it. So he said that he was Mechavim L'Shem Shemayim. He wasn't doing it for himself. And she did it what? Dorish of Acha Bayakov, Patunya, Asa Satan, and Nashke L'Kari. The Satan came along and he kissed Rav Acha's foot and show appreciation. In other words, this in this Gemara, guys, you're going to be Malamed Schus on the Satan. The whole Gemara is the Satan is, you know this, you guys know the story with, the old joke. Day number 2, and the Malachim come together and they get a job. He says, what's your job? You're in charge of water. What's your job? You're in charge of crops. What's your job? You're in charge of housing. Each one gets a job. What's your job? You're in charge of death. So he's so tzebrachim, this malach, he can't believe it. And he says, Hashem said, what are you worried about? So he goes, what am I worried about? Everyone's going to blame me. So he says, you don't have to worry. No one's going to blame you. No one's going to blame you. What number bus was it? What, were they sick? How long were they there?
Someone touched you last week.
But I just spoke to, the last thing they're going to blame is the Malach HaMavis. No one's going to blame you. So we know the Malach HaMavis, but in this Gemara, he's taking it on the chin, right? So, but however, what did Rav Acha do? So Rav Acha went ahead and he was Malamed his chus on him. So he was Malamed his chus that he was Chaim Shem Shemayim. So he came along and Mamash kissed him. After all said and done, it was not chayta. Amar Rav b'svasav leichata. In his lips he was not chayta, but believe chayta. But in his heart he was. My kamar, he said, Eretz nitna biyad Rasha. The Eretz give it over in the hands of the Rasha. Pnei sheifteha yichase imloi efay mihu. Right, the suffering, the tzaddik, if not for who's bringing the suffering of the tzaddikim. Amar Rav bikashi of lahapach kara al panecha. He wanted to curse Hashem. Amar Abaya leidiba yiv ela keneged asatan. He was only speaking connected to Satan. Kitanoi. It's machlekes tanoim whether he wanted to go ahead and say anything negative to HaKadosh Baruch Hu. Eretz didn't be at Rasha Rebbe Eliezer Omer bikashi of lahapich kara al pia. He wanted hapich kara is a lashon naki that he wanted to go ahead and say something. Right, that's the lashon. Yeah. He wanted to. So what's the lashon? Where's Rashi? Lapikar al pia, the first in line. The first in line. Lapikar al pia. Laker kol kovid. In other words, he wanted to be oiker all this kovid shechir of gide if he want, right? He wanted the chas v'shalom to no, he wanted charav v'gade. If he wanted the chas v'shalom, he wanted to be happy. He wanted chas v'shalom that it wasn't emes, but HaKadosh Baruch Hu did. So Lamar le'abayi leidiba iya vela keneged asatan, that he was only going to speak that the Satan caused this, not HaKadosh Baruch Hu. Tonight, it's machlekes tanoim between machlekes Abba v'Abaya. This machlekes tanoim. Eretz nitna biyad Rasha. Rabbi Eliezer oimed bikeshi of lahapikar al pia. Amal Yeshua leidiba iya vela kapi Satan. It says al daitcha. Right, the pasuk says now. Again, this is the hardest part. It's typing these pasukim. Al daitcha ki loy ersha v'imiyotcha matzel. Hashem says to Hashem, if you wanted, I wouldn't be a Rasha. No one can be saved from your hands. Amarava bikashi of lift the rest kula minadin. Right? That Eiv wanted to go ahead what, and he wanted to lift everybody. In other words, they're just like they were forced to be chayta because he created this Yetzer Hara, and he said, "Al daitcha kilei ersha." In Hayisi Chafetz leHayisi Rasha. If I wanted to, some lefanov, Eiv said to Kodesh Baruch Hu, "Banish leilam barasa shar parsaisav slukais." He made a shar with its feet open. Barasa chamar parsaisav klutais. He made a donkey and its feet are cloven. Barasa Gan Eden, Barasa Gehenim, Barasa Tzadikim, Barasa Rishayim. Mima Akaba Yodcha. So in other words, it's mashma that you had no choice. Umaya Hadli Chavei Diyai. What did they answer? Afata Tafiyira. You should go ahead, Rod, and you should go ahead and be Batal Yira. His friends told them you should go ahead and be Mevatel the Yira. The Tigra Sichel Nekel. Bar HaKadosh Baruch Hu Yetzer Hara bar leTorah Tavlin. In Cain, the Chaitim don't go ahead. In other words, it's not. It's he wanted to say. It seems that you Eiv, that you could get everyone off the hook, saying that the people don't have control. They don't have they don't have self-control because you don't do anything wrong, and look what can happen to you. But it's not a good argument. Why? Because it's not a good argument because Bara Kodesh Baruch Hu Yetzirah Bara Lo Torah Tavlin. So he created the Tavlin, he created Torah as the Tavlin. So therefore you can go ahead and conquer this. Darish Rav, my dechsiv birchas oived alai tavoi, believe almona arnoin. Birchas oived alai tavoi, malamesh ha'igozl sada miyasaimim. Ia would literally steal fields from the Yisaimim. Umashbicha, he would then put a lot of money into them. Umachzir lehem, and he would go ahead and return it to them. So that's the birchas oived, the bracha of the oived, of the lost, the Yisaimim. And leiv almona arnin, the chol heichad avi almona lehavi nasivla. Any time there was an almana that wasn't able to get married, Havi Ozol, Shaddai Shmei Ilave, he would say that she's a relative of his. Havi Asi Nasvile, oh, you're a relative of you, Yavichas will marry you. Lu Shakal Yishakel, Kaasi, Bavasi, Bavasnayim, Yisu Yachad. Put my sins and my suffering on two ends, and with the scale, see what would add up, outweigh what. So Amar Rav, Afaru Lupumed the Eiv. Right? Go ahead and put Afer in the mouth of Eiv. Right? Go put Chavusa Klape Maila. Chavusa Klape Chavusa Klape Shamaya. So go ahead and put, literally saying, stop him from saying anything. He's because Chas v'Shalom, he's speaking like what? Like a chavet to HaKadosh Baruch Hu. In other words, he's saying to HaKadosh Baruch Hu, guys, what's saying to HaKadosh Baruch Hu? Let's see, put my sins over here and this over here. He's speaking to HaKadosh Baruch Hu like his friend. So he's saying that what? Put offer in his mouth, shut him up. Okay. The pasuk says, Lu yesh beinenu meichiach yoshes yodai al shenenu. If there's no one between us, no arbitrator between us that might put his hand on both of us, Amar Rav. So Rav said, right, we take offer from the Yoiv, Klum Yeshevich Mechiach Rabbi. You never keep Mechiach Rabbi. Bris Karati le Einai. I made a bris with my eyes. Umaz Bainin al Basula. Amarava offer from the Yoiv Bachrinasa. Other woman he didn't think about, right? Ihu Bachrina. He didn't think about other women, but he thought about his wife. Avram afilu b'didele stakel. Even his own wife, he didn't look at it. Siv, hino yidati kishi fasmaruat. Behold, now I know you're a beautiful woman. At Mechlal, mikara lehavi yadal. He didn't know, so he was not on the madrega of Avram. The pasuk says, "Kola anon v'yelech kach yorish ol layale." He's broken me with a kola anon v'yelach. The anon is kola, it leaves. Ken yorish shol, you go down to the shol and loyala. Amarava, you can't shekafah that you're never going to come out from the shol, from the grave. Asher bashara yishayfeni b'harbe b'tzayachinam. He broke me with a sa'ar, multiplied by my wounds for no reason. Amaraba iyayv b'sara charaf v'sa'ara heshivua. He sinned with the word sa'ara and he's punished with the word sa'ara. Charaf d'chsiv asher b'sa'ara yishayfenu. I'm a fun Rabbi Shlalem. Shema, this is what he said. Rabbi Shlalem, Shema ruach sa'ara over lefanecha. Maybe a ruach sa'ara, a strong wind came in front of you. And you made a mistake between Eiv and Oyev. Now you take the word Eiv and the word Oyev, you just switch around the Yud and the Vav. So you go from Eiv to Oyev as an enemy. So you switch around quickly. Bisara hashivua, because Baruch Hu answered in Bisara. Yechsiv. Vayanashem es Eiv, min ha'sa'ara, vayomer. Ezer no, kagever chaletzecha, gird up your loins, kagever chaletzecha, esh olcha v'haydieni. Amalei harbin nimim barasi ba'adam. I created many hair follicles in men. V'chol nima v'nima, and every follicle, barasi la guma, b'fnei atzma. Each one has its own hole. Doesn't come out. Shelo yeshtayim yonkos miguma achas, that should never have two being yonik from one. If you would have, this is for scientific research, but if you have two ears coming out of the same same pore, it would make your eyes dim. It would darken your eyes. When it comes to ears, I don't go ahead and mix up between two pores. Do you think I'm going to make a mistake? Mi pileg lashetef tale, who opened the canal for the running water. Harba tipim barasi ba'avim, many droplets of rain I put in the clouds. V'chal tipa v'tipa barasi la, the fus b'fnei atzma. Each one has their own channel. Kadesh le'yeshtayim tipin yotzes mit the fus echad, then not two tipim should come through the same channel. Shamali shtei tipim yotzes mit fus echad, if two tipim come through the same channel, it would turn the land into clay. The Aina might see a Paris and it would not go ahead and Paris. So it seems the way the water comes down on the earth impacts upon the earth, and therefore, what if it would come? It would come down in the same channels. It would affect the earth to the extent that the clay that wouldn't give Paris. Being people and Schalafli, being Eyav Loyev and Schalali. I'm going to make a mistake between Eyav and Oyev. My mashma, the high tala lishna de fusu. Where do you see when it says mi pileg l'shetiv tala? How do tala means a channel? Amarava bar shilo dichsiv vayas ta'ola kibesa sayim zarel. Yo says he dug a ditch when he was on Har Carmel. He was facing the Anshe Baal. Vayas ta'ola kibesa sayim. He made a ditch that you can plant two sasayim. The derech lachsis koilos, and the derech of the clouds to give out thunder. Harbe koilos barasi ba'avim b'chol kol b'kol barasi lo yishvil b'fnei atzma. Each one has its own path. Kadesh lo yishtei koilos yotzes b'shvil echad. That two thunders should not come out with two koilos. Shalmoli shtei koilos yotzes b'shvil echad. Machriv mes kol oilam. The whole world would be, the sound would go ahead and destroy the world. Being kol the kol in the scholarly. I don't make a mistake between the sounds. Being ear l'oil the scholarly. Between ear and oyev, what I'm going to make a mistake. Hayidate. Now the next Gemara is fascinating. I'm waiting for the National Geographic to find this. The next piece of Gemara, it's so fascinating. I remember it from year to year. But this is scientific, unbelievable. Hayadata es ledes yale sala. Tishma yale. This deer. Achzari yasal beneha. It has tremendous. It's a mountain goat. It has tremendous achzarias on its children. B'shasha karas on the base when it goes into birth. The ledes. It goes up to the top of a mountain. Kidei shetipol mimena v'yamos, that the child should fall out and die. Vani mazmin le nesher. I go ahead and I send literally an eagle, or not the eagles. It could be a vulture. I send a large bird. Shemekablei b'chnafav. It catches the goat, the baby goat, in its wings. Manichel lefuner, and brings it to the mother. What happens if this bird would be a little early, a little late, right? Miad makes being regular in the scholarly. Next Gemara, the birth pangs of the Ayola. This is a female deer. Surachmat sar has a very its rechem is very tsar. It says she said that Esther was desirous tachesh feirosh, like an ayola, because the rechem is very tsar. B'shosha kairas ledes, when it goes into birth, it can't get the baby out. Ani masmin le darkoin. I go ahead and send a snake. Shemakisha bebeis rechem, who bites it in by the womb, umisrapa, and then becomes loose. Mimolda, and it gives birth. If this snake would come early or late, miyad mesa, she would die. Being regular in the schalafli, being iyav la'ayev in the schalafli. So the chayra, it's peledic. Peledic Gemara. What?
Why do you have to give so many more shows for the same?
I think it's very appropriate.
Hmm?
I think it's appropriate.
Each
Yeah, each one's good.
doesn't prove that David doesn't make
Good. No, one's right. Good. So good. We can bring 100 more. It's good. It's good. It's very good.
he proves his
I'm glad. Well, by truth, you got it. He speaks without thought. His words, he doesn't think about his thoughts. That's why he said what he did. A person, b'shatz tsar, is not going to be chap. The person, when they're in tsar, Kodesh Baruch Hu is not held accountable. If you look at Rashi, sheinodim nitfus, 2 lines down, l'schayev al shumedabe kosha. When a person is in tsar, he won't be found guilty, right, because he spoke difficulty. Machmes tsar, v'yisum dekama loy bedas yidaber. He wasn't the Yisurim. He wasn't speaking B'das. Lo yoma lo b'Rasha yidaber elo lo b'das. It doesn't say he spoke Berishus. It says lo b'das. In other words, he was speaking because of pain. So anyway, the Yishmu Shloishes Rei Eiv as Kol Hazais. The three friends of Eiv heard the calamities that happened to him, and Habasei love by Yavo Ishmim Komo, and each person came from their place. Now, who are his friends? Alipas Hatemani, Ubildad Hatsuchi, with Sefer Hanamasi. The Vadu Yachtov, and they came together. Lavoi Lodnidloi, they came together to share Ulunachmai and to what? Comfort him. Now it's mashma they came all at the same time. My Vayu Yachtov, Rav Yehuda Rav Malamed, Shenichnu Kula and Bishar. They all came at the same time. They lived very far apart. Nonetheless, they came at the same time. Between each one of them was 300 meyos parsa. So how do they know of Eiv's pain? Listen to this. Ikedi Amri Kalila Have. They had a says Rashi 3 lines down. Kalila Have Lahu. And each one had his name engraved on his face. His face would change. It was like incredible that they had this hotline to each other. So this guy's in trouble. Each one had trees, 3 trees, and they had names of their friends on the trees. And if it would dry up, they would know that. So Amar Rava, Hainadami Inshi, Oichavro Kechavre de Ioiv, either give me friends like Eiv or death. It says when man in Bereshis, when man began to go ahead and procreate, and they had daughters. Since they had daughters, so more propagation came to the world. Marsha explains that one man can have many wives, so therefore the amount of people in the world is not dependent upon the man, depends upon the woman. So therefore, as a result of B'nai Vayihi, why was Roiv B'nai Lehem? That's why the Rivya came to the world. Fighting came to the world, right? That if you say Yisayich, connect the Wilachem. Baloilam. Amalei Rish Lakish Rav Yochanan. L'Techad Da'armit Revia Baloilam. If they man le'nichbel b'naisav shel Eiv. So why did Eiv not have more daughters? We said we had literally 7 sons. We had 14 sons. We only had 3 daughters. It's good they didn't have more names. They didn't have more of them. They had beautiful. They were nichbel and they would double down in their beauty. He had what? He had 7 sons, 14 sons. Shivana is 14 sons. Ushleisha banos. Vayikra shema achas yemima. B'shem hashen is Kitsia. B'shem hashlishis is Karen Hapuch. These were the names of the daughters. Yemima shahaisa daima liyaim. She was bright like the day. Kitsia shaya reiching noidev kikitsia. She had a wonderful smell. Karen Hapuch, literally an upside down horn. Amad Rev Shila shedaima lekarna de keresh. She was similar to the horn of a keresh, a certain animal, and that turned black. So Ma'chi Allah and Marava, the ones they said karna de keresh the kusahi. That it got black is not something positive; it's a negative. So why would he call her Karen Hapuch? Alam Rav Chisda ki kurkuma derishka, a famous garden saffron. Back to Donovan. Now we have kurkuma derishka. We have back to our garden saffron, and which is of course very expensive. Bemina and Shnemar ki sikri bapuch. The ki sikri bapuch is that what you of Shimbre Beisale Barta, I guess ki sikri bapuch, you make your eyes bapuch, cosmetics. Of Shimon Berebi, of Shimon, the son of Rabbi, Yisialdale Barta had a daughter, Avikacholishtaite had Klishas Adas. The Ben Yehuda wants a taina because he wanted him kind of mitzvah pidyon aben. Don't think that women are bad. He did, but he wanted the first child to be a boy, kind of pidyon aben. Amalei Avua, his father told him, Rabbi told him, Rivya Bal Oilam. You have a daughter, you're going to have more grandchildren. Amalei Bakapara, Tanchum Shel Hevel. But Rabbi told him it's a Tanchum of Hevel, Hevel Nichamcha Avucha. So Bakapara went ahead and told Rav Shimon that your father gave you what? He gave you words of Hevel and comforting. The Tanya, It's not possible to have a world without males. Blame the kavus without females. Allah Ashri Lemi Sheban of Secharim. Fortunate is the one who has male children. Oiloi Lemi Sheban of Nekavos. They have to worry a lot. The Gemara says about the Nekavos. They're marrying them. They're keeping their chastity. You need a perfume in the world. You need a tanner in the world. The bursi seems to have a very terrible smell. Asher Misham Nasai Busmi. Oiloi Lemi Shemusa Bursi. Kitanoi. Okay, it's a machlokes tanoim whether what to have children, female children, whether it's good or not. Hashem berach es Avram bakol. Says Avram, Hashem benched Avram and everything. My bakol, but may oimish lehosh labas. You know what bakol means? Didn't have a daughter. Who was he going to marry you off to? There was no one to marry you off to, so he was so happy. Right? There was the Canaanim, the Avodah Zarah. Who was he going to marry you off to? So says the Ramban. Therefore, he was happy. He didn't have a child, a daughter. So that's berach bakol. So according to this opinion, it's good not to have a daughter. He did have a daughter. Her name was Bakol. Guys, Taisus, yes. So if he had a daughter, why didn't he marry to Yitzchak? Why didn't he marry Bakol to Yitzchak? See Taisus, Ayin Kuf Mem Aleph, we'll get to it. Why didn't he marry her off? Why didn't he marry her off? It's only us. What? To Yitzchak. Why don't you marry Yitzchak to Bakol? Like the man the Yom, they had a daughter Bakol. Yeah.
He didn't want to mafagim him for the suit of lust of lover, no? That he married.
Take a look at Taisvis. Take a look at Taisvis Kuf Aleph. It's not no suit of lust of love. It's not a Hasidic Shabbat. It's a Litvish Shabbat. Kuf Mem Aleph. Take a look. You look it up. But it's not in this. If you look it up,
She was a katana. He came out to that. No, that was the.
Taisvis said she was a katana. So what's the kasha? How old is Rivka?
Right, she was 14 years old or something like that. That was the cheshbon.
Taisvis Lishi Taslei. Taisvis says that Rivka was 14. Hashem bless you with a good memory. You should use it for good and not evil.
Amen.
Remember exactly the inventory where everything is. Okay, Vaita. So we have a theory of machlokes. Either he didn't have a daughter, he had a daughter, or he had a daughter named Bakol. Right. Rabbi Elazar Mudoy Omer, it's Tagnino Isaisa Beliba Shel Avram Avinu. Avram was an expert in astrology. Shekol Malchei Mizrach Umayriv Mashkim Lepischei. They will all the kings of the east and the west would come to Avram to be Biyayitz to find out what to do. Evan Toiba Hoysa Tli B'Tzavor Shel Avram. He had an Avinu. He had this beautiful stone around his neck. Shekol Choyla Haroyosei. He had Misrapa. Anyone who would see it would get better. Well, let's see an interesting thesis. So people were sick, they would get better. Shekol Choyla Sharoya Oysa Miyad Misrapa. Vim Toima Frek Toisvis. But Bimei Avraham Makati Lohaya Choyla Ba'olam. Right? We just learned it, guys. That Yaakov lehoisa chulsha, that Elisha lehavi is chalish v'is. No one got sick and got better. You could say that what it's speaking about the chayil of a makkah. In other words, maybe a natural sickness you didn't get, but maybe it's speaking that a guy hit you with a sword. In other words, you didn't get naturally sick, but let's say a person would take a rock and bang you in the head, and you get hurt. So maybe that's one pshat. Another pshat for Rabbeinu Tam, Rabbeinu Tam Varim Farshim, the Ad Yaakov lehavi the ischalish, hainu choylish al misa. It doesn't mean they didn't get sick. They didn't get sick and die. Mikan ve'elech havi the ischalish choylish al misa, lehavi the spatich had Elisha, and no one got better to Elisha. In other words, let's broaden our understanding of that Gemara. When it says no one got sick and died, but you did get sick, and therefore the ones who got a regular sickness, they would get better. Very good. B'shosh nifta Avram Avinu in Olam Tola Kodesh Baruch Hu the Gagal Chame. He took this. This is obviously beyond my pay grade. He took this stone from Avram and he put it in the sun. Amar Rabbi, Hayudami Inshri Idle Yuma, right? Idle Kitsira. In other words, when the sun gets lifted up, so the sickness gets lifted up. You know that sunshine is very good for disease. You know what? Hashem blessed Avram Bakol. What do you mean he blessed Avram Bakol? That Esav did not go ahead and rebel until Avram died. Esav did not go off the derech till Avram died. Davar achesh also Yishmael tshuva biyama. Berach a call that Yishmael did tshuva in his lifetime of Avram. Shleimar Esav biyama. How do you know that? Min alon dechsiv. Vayabe Pashas told us. Vayabe Esav min asadav hu oyef. He came from the field and he was very very tired. V'tana Isa yoim nifta Avram Avinu. V'asa Yaakov Avinu tavshil shaladashim. He was making a tafshil of lentils. Lenachem es Yitzchak Aviv to go ahead and comfort Yitzchak his father. So why do we make lentils? Ami marava mishmei the Rabbi bar Mari ma adasha zu ein lepeh. Just like that dasha does not have a mouth. Af abel ein lepeh to go ahead and question Hakadosh Baruch Hu. Davar achem maya dasha zu megugeles. Maya dasha zu megugeles. Just like a lentil is round. Af avelus megugeles. So to avelus is round. Machzeres al boyolam it comes around to everybody. My binaya. What's the difference between lentils? Between the two reasonings, between not having a peh and being round, it can be nayul and chume bebei. If you're going to use eggs to be menachem, if the reason else you don't have a mouth, eggs don't have mouth. If it's the reason else round, eggs are not round; they are more oval shaped. Amrav Yehuda, Amrav Yochanan. Hamesha Averis of Esav Rasha B'Esayom. The day Esav killed that day that Avram died, Esav did 5 Averis. Right. Boil nar marasa. He was boil nar marasa. One, Taisus brings the Mountain Torah. There was no din of Naira Murasa, right? But L'chayr Taisus says it was a Dav Mechuyad Moed. The Haragas and Nefesh, he killed Nimrod. The Kafa Be'ikar, he denied HaKadosh Baruch Hu. The Kafa B'Chias HaMesim. The Shot Esa B'chayra, and he was the Vazah B'chayra. Baal Naira Murasa, Ksiv Hacha, Vayava Yesem and Asada, Ksiv Hasam Ki B'Sada Matzah, he found a girl in the field. Haragas and Nefesh, Ksiv Hacha Ayef, Ksiv Hasam, Oy Noali Ki Aifa, Nafshi Lahargim. So you see that the Ayef and Oyef and regarding Hariga. The Kafa Be'ikra, Ksiv Hacha, Lama Zeli, Ksiv Hasam, Zek Keli Van Veyu. Lama Zeli, why do I need this? Zek Zehu Keli Van Veyu, this is my God. So why do I need God? Keep it Leilena. Keep it Kisamesim, Ksiv Hina Nechi Alech Lamus. Why so Lama Li B'chayra? The Shadas B'chayra, Ksiv Vayibes Esas B'chayra. Okay, so that's the Berach Avram Makol that Esav did, that Esav, Avram is spared from seeing Esav. We should also Yishmael Tshuva, B'yamav, Yishmael did Tshuva in his days, Minalan, Ki Had Ravina, Rav Chama Bar Buzi, Av Yasvi Kamei the Rava, the Kamename Rava, and Rava was sleeping. Amle Ravina, Rav Chama Bar Buzi, Vadai Dan Misa, Kol Misa Shesh Ba Gevia, Sui Misa Shadikim. It says Vayigva, it's a Misa of Shadikim. Amalei in V'Hadar Hamabel, what about the Dar Hamabel? Amalei Ano Gevia Vasifa. I meant Avia. I mean Vayigva is Vayigva Vasifa. Vayigva V'Yesef Alama. That's what I meant. But Yishmael Dechsibbe V'Gevia Vasifa. That you see that. So l'chara, how can you tell me it's the Misa of a tzaddik? Yishmael wasn't a tzaddik. Adahachi Yisrael Rava awoke. Amalahu Dardaki. Young children. Hachi Am Rabbi Yochanan. Yishmael also tshuva b'chayi aviv. He did tshuva in the lifetime of his father Shnemar. V'yikbor Yisrael Yitzchak b'Yishmael Banav, and he put Yitzchak first. He put Yitzchak first. By putting Yitzchak first, you see that what he got the memo. It says more of Dilma Derech Chachmas v'Chachashav Lahu. Maybe the Torah is considering the way of Chachma. That's what he put Yitzchak first. Elamiyata. It says Vayikbor say Esav v'Yaakov Banav. It says when Yitzchak was buried, he was buried by Esav and Yaakov, his children. My time of Chachashav Lahu Derech Chachmasan. Right? Elamidika Akmi Adibure Ella Mid Hadmei. When he Adbure, and he went ahead and he went first, he told him, he persuaded Yitzchak to go first. And the Adbure, and he let Yitzchak Mishmamina, tshuva of it be Yamav, that he did tshuva. Yeah, a lot of Gemara. Fascinating Gemara.